It's been a funny old week for Holly Willoughby. She's been slammed for a tribute to the Vivian, embroiled in a dispute at her new £8 million home, and someone has even been calling for her former bestie Phillip Schofield to return to Dancing on Ice. More on that later. Some of the drama has also rubbed off on Holly's sidekick Stephen Mulhern, who returned to live TV for the first time following his collapse at a branch of Pizza Express. We'll discuss that later. Meanwhile, Dancing on Ice returned to our screens on Sunday, with fewer than 3 million people tuning in, compared with 3.6 million last year. As the show opened, it was Holly Willoughby's tribute to the Vivian that annoyed most fans, with viewers coming out in force to slam Holly's statement regarding the death of the former contestant, who made it to third place in the competition in 2023. Moments into the program, Holly announced, "Before we move on, like us, many of you have been saddened by the tragedy of the Vivian's passing last weekend. Now they were a huge part of the show, making it all the way to the final in 2023, and they'll be very sorely missed." The audience applauded while co-host Stephen Mulhern chipped in, "Absolutely, but the swift nature of the tribute upset a number of fans." Taking to X, one fumed, "Is that it for a tribute to the Vivian? A few words. Why can't we at least see some dancers?" A second wrote, "Dancing on Ice, the Vivian. That's it. Not even a black and white image. Appalling." A third raged, "That tribute from Dancing on Ice for the Vivian was absolutely disgusting. No VT, no picture on the big screen. The opening dance could have been a dedication. Seemed like no feeling or care at all in that." As the show moved on, Springwatch host Michaela Strachan stormed ahead with a score of 30.5 out of 40. Whilst Corrie's Sam Aston also impressed the judges, the other soap stars did not fare so well. Hollyoaks veteran Chelsea Healey was left at the bottom of the pack, with a score of 22. But it was the return of Stephen Mulhern following his ordeal that grabbed headlines this week. In November, an ambulance was called just weeks after the death of his father. The presenter, who is one of ITV's richest stars, raking in around £85,000 every single week, had collapsed at a Berkshire branch of Pizza Express, having reacted badly to an anaesthetic he'd taken earlier in the day. A source said, "Stephen has been going through an incredibly tough time of late. He is grieving the loss of his dad, to whom he was so close. He's also been battling several well-documented health problems, and on Wednesday morning had a procedure requiring a local anaesthetic. He took himself off for a quiet, solo dinner that evening, had a few drinks and just reacted incredibly badly. He's only human, and his dad's death has hit him hard." After paramedics helped Mulhern, he was put on the phone to his mother to assure her that he was okay. On Sunday, though, Stephen thankfully looked happy and healthy as he stepped back into the limelight on Dancing on Ice, in his first live TV appearance since the incident. And it did seem he was back to his old self when he caught co-host Holly Willoughby off guard during one segment of the show, where he thrust his hand towards the live logo that was etched at the top right of the screen, almost catching Willoughby in the face, a move that prompted the former This Morning star to say under her breath, "Very nearly hit me there." Holly laughed off the incident, but fans had grown tired of Stephen Mulhern's running joke about the program being live, especially after it almost resulted in him hitting his co-star. Taking to X, one person wrote, "Is Stephen Mulhern wanging on about being live going to be a thing on Dancing on Ice? It irritates me, as such a chunk of it isn't." While a second sarcastically hit out, "Are they live? They don't mention it." A third queried, "Has something happened between series? I don't get why they keep pushing the fact it's live." And one fed-up fan penned, "Can someone at ITV tell Mulhern to stop his unfunny jokes?" With another echoing the sentiment, writing, "If this is live, I hope Stephen looks at Twitter in the break and calms down. The man ain't funny." We couldn't agree more, and so does someone else. A showbiz reporter for The Express has resorted to begging none other than Castaway star Phillip Schofield to come back, citing that Dancing on Ice is not the same without him. Well, we wouldn't go that far. The reporter, Fran Winston, elaborated, divulging that a recent Express poll revealed that over 40% of their readers felt that Phillip Schofield should return to host Dancing on Ice. She penned, "I never thought I would write these words, but I miss Phillip Schofield on screens. Well, Dancing on Ice specifically. To be clear, I am not a fan of his. I always found him to be somewhat smug on This Morning, and his work hosting the British Soap Awards always felt very dry. Don't even get me started on those adverts he used to appear in for a car company. However, on Dancing on Ice, he shined. He could be more anarchic than he was on daytime TV. Alongside Holly Willoughby, the duo had such an easy rapport. Their back and forth was often more entertaining than what was happening on the ice. Fran continued, saying that despite her love for Stephen Mulhern, she feels he is out of his depth on Dancing on Ice. She said, "Stephen and Holly go back 2 decades, but their relationship still feels far more forced than her interaction with Phillip ever did." Commenting on the article, a reader chipped in, "Get Phil back. At least he was a good presenter who cared for the contestants and not for himself, as the two presenting now do." But despite calling for his return, Phillip Schofield fades into obscurity, and drama magnate Holly Willoughby rumbles on. Yes, her new show Celebrity Bear Hunt has been rocked by a huge feud, which escalated so much that show bosses were forced to call an emergency meeting. The reality series lands on Netflix next month. However, during filming, tensions reached fever pitch among the celebrity cast, and Netflix bosses were apparently not prepared for the level of arguing, and were forced to intervene. A source said, "There were some big personalities there, and naturally, tensions started to brew. Tempers started to fray and people didn't hold back. Things got so bad one night that the big bosses called an emergency meeting to remind the celebs that this was supposed to be a family-friendly show. This really didn't go down well with the stars, including Danny Cipriani. The last thing he wanted was to be on a show like Big Brother, which is full of rouse and drama." In a trailer for the show, fiery arguments break out among some of the stars. Race Across the World star Kola Bikini is even seen launching his belongings across to the other side of the room, as Lottie Moss screams, "You're so grumpy every time you lose." Amid the tension, one star almost quit the program. Rugby ace Danny was left fuming after believing Holly Willoughby had every decision based around her. An insider said, "Danny seemed to think host Holly was getting special treatment, and every decision was being made around her comfort." They added, "Danny was adamant he was going to leave and even packed his bags, giving producers no option but to step in. They persuaded him to stay, but it really ruined the rest of his time on the show. He made a couple of new friendships, but it's safe to say Danny has ruled out reality TV for good. He was relieved when it was over and couldn't wait to get back to LA." Like usual, Holly Willoughby gets her way. And her home life is no exception. Recently, she and her TV producer hubby Dan Baldwin landed a victory in a home extension dispute, scoring approval to add a gym and cinema room to their lavish £8 million property. According to reports, Holly and Dan's original plans required some modification after being judged incompatible with the site's heritage. Subsequent amendments, which scaled back the proposed outbuilding to a single story instead of 2, have since secured the green light from the authorities for Holly. "We can't say we're surprised. She always seems to come up smelling of roses." Despite a recent hiccup with the taxman, the Holly Willoughby machine is back full steam ahead, following the very public breakdown of her friendship with Phillip Schofield. But is she happy? What amount of wealth and success will satisfy her inner hunger to come out on top? In our opinion, Holly's overexposure could ultimately be her downfall. The more she does, the more we get sick of her. Perhaps she's even sick of herself. In 2023, she was interviewed by Heat magazine after being branded British TV's Golden Girl. During the interview, Little Miss Holly Willoughby sighed, "I'm sick of being perfect." Like and subscribe for more journeys through the blinker hole. For entertainment purposes only.